And we are live in 3, 2, 1. And that's the cannon going off. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Tremel. I'm the creator, developer, and head coach of Launch Your Life's Work, the Author Launchpad, as well as the Author Business School Online. And I cannot thank you enough for joining me on this special Tuesday edition of the Life Work Leadership Livecast. Now, why today on this Tuesday? Well, I'm going to start to give you just a couple videos so you can see who that I have as a guest today, an extraordinary guest that's going to be joining us, someone that I've been waiting for 16 years, 17 years to meet and to connect and to share the difference that this person made in my life. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let some of these videos, I'm gonna let these videos speak for me. Let's go ahead and do this right here. And I'm going to go ahead and share right now. All right, video number 1. All right, so I hear that the volume is not coming through, so I got to make sure I check that. Let me go ahead and pause this. All right, so let's do that again. I hear that and this is why you practice. This is why you check your tech, right? You got to make sure that it's not coming through, so I got to make sure I check that. Let's quiet that. I want to make sure that you get the full experience here. So let's try this again. I want to share screen. Let's make sure we get the audio as well going this time. Okay, Chrome tab, got it. And look, why do I do it like this? I do it so that I model for you what it is that I need you to be doing as well, right? Because look, we get better with practice. No one comes out of the gates. Okay, perfect. Entire screen. Also share system audio. There we go. Boom. Now I've got that included. Let's go back. I want to show you this video. This is live. This is you being able to handle how it's going to happen going live. And that's part of the big themes of today. So let's go back. I want to watch this video with you. I'm going to go ahead and start it over. Let's try this one more time. All right, here we go.
You bike and you run, but the finishing line is what you're really chasing. Since 1989, there has been a constant. When you get to the finish line, you're sure to hear one thing. You are an Ironman.
Perfect.
The words ring loud all day and have been called out by Mike Reilly from over 100 Ironman races.
How many more do I have in me? Until it's not fun and passionate, you know, or somebody says, Mike, you're done. And, you know, it's interesting. I'll share this because I had a discussion with my son. He goes, how long are you going to do this? You know, because mom's going to be retiring. And I go, I know, you know, I guess I got to think about stuff like this. But I don't know. Maybe I just won't do as many during the year as I have in past. But I don't know. That's a tough one to answer. I want to do it as long as I physically and mentally can do it.
It all started years ago, back in 1989. It would be impossible to put a number on the amount of times that Mike has welcomed an athlete across the line. But one thing is for sure, each one is very special.
I remember the first time I called someone an Ironman. It was a friend who didn't think they were going to finish Hawaii. It was 91. I had announced the race in 89 and 90. I never said that. And I remember being on the street with him saying, don't worry, you'll be an Ironman. You're going to get it done. And he was just nervous and everything. And so the day went on, and I think he was around 13, 14 hours. And I didn't call anybody an Ironman. But when he came in, I said his name. I go, you are an Ironman. He looked up and yeah. And the crowd went berserk when I said, you are an Ironman. I go, whoa. You know, so like 5 people later, I said it to the next guy, and the crowd, yeah, this is cool. They are an Ironman. I'm going to call them an Ironman. And that's how it began.
For Mike,
Such a
each
great
finisher
story.
is special and receives everything they deserve.
My energy level is about them. And the biggest travesty I think about is someone finishing Ironman and someone not being excited about it. I couldn't imagine that. So I want to lead that excitement. I'm not 100% of that excitement. Once I start bringing that person in or calling them an Ironman, the crowd will take care of the rest. They then give the adoration to that athlete that they deserve. I can begin it and I can end it. But in between, it's that, you know, if it was just my voice and there was no crowd out there, you know, it'd be ridiculous. So, yeah, you are an Ironman is a pretty big exclamation point in a lot of their lives. They've been thinking about it for months on end. So I guess my energy level comes from them. Some of it's inside of me. You know, I'm passionate about this, but when I call someone an Ironman and I see them straighten up and get this look on their face and either start laughing or crying, are you kidding me? That energy builds me up for the next one and the next one until all of a sudden I find out and I go, oh my gosh, we only got 15 minutes to go till midnight. And
Midnight is the cutoff.
and, you know, doing the deal. So I don't know why. It's just something inside of me that flows out to them. And I hope it always will.
From 4 a.m. to midnight, and sometimes even past that, Mike Reilly is there with unwavering energy. Mike Reilly, it's you. You really are an Ironman.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you get that one. I'm going to show one more video to introduce our guest, who I see has made it into the green room, and just a fabulous last piece to honor and acknowledge who our guest is today. And then I will go ahead and bring him on set. Mike, I see you. So just you be right there. Get that cannon ready, okay? One more. I would love to play this one right here. And then we're going to jump right into it. I think this is a great one to share. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more so you get the sense of who we've got today, the difference that he has made in this world, and with so many just amazing athletes. Last piece right here. So great. Mm, beautiful. So great. All right, let's stop that share. Ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled. I am honored. I am excited to have this opportunity to talk to somebody who made an extraordinary difference in my life. I know him more than he knows me. This is our first time connecting outside of some emails, but in the world of what we were both a part of, we know each other well. And so, with that being said, let me go ahead. Let me do this properly. So, for those of you watching for the first time, I'm Chris Trammell. I'm the creator, developer, and head coach of the Author Launchpad. I help authors, difference makers, inspired leaders bring their work out to the world. And inside of doing that, I look for the authors that really have, tell an extraordinary story about what I say is life work, life by declaration. What are we here to do? What is yours to do that you did in this lifetime? And then you arranged yourself, you aligned yourself. So that was the thing that you brought forward to this world. Today, I am so excited to be able to bring on Mike Reilly, one of the most well-known and celebrated voices in all of sports, endurance sports, all of sports. His career spans over 40 years, over 300,000, right? And that's just the athletes. We're not talking about the families. Multiply that by all the families that are there and all the fans that are there. So that number's in the millions of impact of Ironman finisher. He called his first race in 1991, started in 1989. He is a husband to his high school sweetheart. He's a father of two. I hope I got that right there, Mike. Grandpa as well. He's enjoying the retired life, if you will. We're going to talk about what retirement looks like for somebody like Mike Reilly. And he's more than an author. And I got his book right here. We're going to dive into this. I had such a pleasure reading Finding My Voice. And I also listened to it while I've been at the gym for this past month, taking notes on all of it. More than an announcer, truly more than an announcer, more than just a finish line, caller inner, if you will. He is a mouthpiece for the universe. I tell you that with all my heart. He is a mouthpiece for the universe, declaring the four of the most powerful self-actualizing words in sport. You are an Ironman. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, let us bring to the stage Mr. Mike Reilly. Mike Reilly, welcome to the Life Work Livecast.
Chris, thank you very much. My goodness, I think Chris Trammell knows more about Mike Reilly than Mike Reilly knows. You've done some serious research, my friend.
I have, Mike. I have. I want to make sure, this is one of those opportunities, for you. It's, you wake up, you do what Mike Reilly does on a regular day. I woke up like a kid jumping out of the bed on Christmas Day, right? So I appreciate that acknowledgement. And really, we want to highlight your journey, what you did out in the world for these 30 years. We want to give the young triathletes some tidbits today. We're going to cover some ground in these next 55 minutes. You ready to make it happen?
Yeah, I think I can go for 55 minutes. That's kind of a short day for me.
All right, very good. All right, we're going to make it happen like that. So, Mike, y como mai, Mike Reilly.
E como mai to you.
E como mai. Thank you very much. I saw that. So, for those that have been under a rock, or they're not endurance athletes, or they've been inside the office, who are you and what did you do as your career?
Who am I and what did I do with my career? Well, I'm just a kid from Toledo, Ohio, who decided in 1976, after he graduated from college, to move to San Diego, and I was introduced to endurance.
I was a high school and college wrestler, and I came out here and started running and riding the bike and swimming, and then it all happened from there because I was enamored by it. Ran a lot of marathons before I got into triathlon, and then got into triathlon, and next thing you know, somebody asked me to get on a microphone at a race where I had a bad hamstring, so I couldn't run it. And the first thing I thought of, Chris, I go, oh my gosh, I got a bunch of buddies running this race. I can make fun of them as they come through the finish line or something like that. But then I started calling people's names. I had a printout sheet, and for people of the older generation, it was a dot matrix printout.
Wow.
If they know what that is. And I just started reading names and telling them what I would want to hear when I finished the race. Like, congratulations, well done, way to get her done. You're a champion. And I started seeing these expressions on people's faces of people I didn't know. And it was joy. And they'd point at me and I'd point back and they yell, thank you. And it just seems like they perked up, and it perked me up. It gave me a lot of energy. So that's kind of how it all started on the microphone. And from there, it was just a progression from one event to the next event, to be called up to the big leagues at Ironman in '89 and to go there. So it's kind of hard for me to talk about my career. It's more well chronicled by other people than sometimes myself, because I always looked at the next race, the race I was at, the most important one of my life. So I didn't really look back at what I did. I didn't look forward to what I was going to do. I just wanted to be the best present I could be, because I knew it was for the athletes. And that's how I built my career.
So fabulous, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you got that, Mike Reilly is the voice of the Ironman. If you jumped in and you saw those videos I was playing there, I was crazy enough and inspired enough. I think they go hand in hand for most endurance athletes, the crazy and inspired. And we're going to dive into the book where I came across the line twice in 2008 and 2009. And Mike called my name there. So his words have been, and I really love how you describe it in your book. And I'm going to make sure, because Mike, I'll get excited and I'll go left, right, center. And you're going to have to hang on with me, okay?
I can hang.
Okay, great. Let's go back. This is, you mentioned growing up in Toledo, Ohio. One of the things that I look for when I work with leaders, authors, people who are creating programs is our compensations in life later become our competencies, right? I was a short, chubby kid. I was the last to get picked for any kickball game or dodgeball. I looked like the milkman. I didn't look like the athletic brothers. My cousin made the Olympic team. So I had to learn these survival mechanisms of a kid of how to be liked. You in Toledo, Ohio, growing up, do you see where you are already looking for or being the kid who is championing others? Or how, when you look back at that golden thread, that arc of Mike Reilly's life, do you see it in your youth?
I didn't really see it in my youth. I just know that in my youth, I was a positive person. I was always laughing. I was always smiling. I wasn't the greatest student. I wasn't the greatest wrestler. I didn't, have all these accolades thrown at me because of this or that, whether it was in school or athletics. And then in high school, I had a great time. I mean, it was just a wonderful time with great friends that I'm still friends with today, that actually we moved to San Diego together, about 3 or 4 of us, and we're still together, including my wife. So I'll never forget. I don't think I've ever told this story publicly. I know I haven't. At the senior assembly in high school, they gave out awards to a bunch of seniors, just crazy awards.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, McDonald's had a thing there. They still have it. I have it called the Happy Meal. And there was a cup they gave with this Happy Meal. Well, at the senior assembly, the juniors were doing this for the seniors. And they called my name. I'm going, what the heck are they going to give me? And this person, I don't know if it was I think it was a senior girl, a junior girl who said, "We're going to give this happy cup to Mike Reilly because that guy is just always happy." And I went up and got this happy cup. I wish I had the thing. I don't have the thing anymore. And I just was like, wow, okay, that's cool. I guess I'm happy all the time. And so it didn't really, and maybe it grew and morphed into me wanting others around me to be the same, because I didn't like to be around people that weren't happy. I mean, until I got older and understood what some people were going through, and well, I wouldn't be happy either if I went through that.
Yeah.
But then I got into endurance, and when I got on the microphone, that was the number one goal. I didn't really think about, wow, will people like my voice? Will they like what I say? I mean, I was worried about that and nervous about that to some respect, but all I wanted to do is put a smile on their face, make their day a little brighter, because they were finishing what they set out to do. And that's really where it wasn't like it was this premonition or a big pivot in my life. It just gradually kept growing. And I said, I hadn't seen those two videos, Chris, that you played. I hadn't looked at them in a long time. But I do remember saying in one of them, the interviews, that the reason I was able to be so full of energy for a 17-hour day of rocking and rolling and bringing people in was because they gave me the energy. Each and every smile, each and every look, each and every accomplishment just filled me up more and more. So all of a sudden, that 17-hour mark at midnight was there. And, they say the best thing you can do in life is make somebody else's life a little bit happier. And I was blessed enough to be able to do that 2,500 times a race.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's beautifully well said. And thank you for taking the question, because I think oftentimes we look at what's in front of us. We look on our resume for our expertise. And what I've learned, and I've got some books over here that I'm going to use as cues for us in a second. One of the books talks about our journeys, right? And when we go back and we look, we take the time to look at the golden thread of our lives, and oh gosh, I was doing that there, and I was learning this along the way, and it became my competency over time, and I was compensated for it. Mm-hmm. But I never knew way back here when I was doing this, I was just being who I was. Yeah.
Yeah, who you are, shout so loud to people. Sometimes what you say can't be heard. But yet, when you portray, I think, positivity, when you are giving someone accolades, because I didn't know everybody's backstory when they finished an Ironman or any race I was at. I knew a lot of them, and I would study the bios and see, wow, this person went through this person lost a loved one, whatever it may have been. And I knew I wanted to give a little extra effort to that person. But then I started thinking about it. Everybody's got a backstory. Ironman masks life in so many ways. The ups and downs, the hurdles you got to jump. And when I realized that a lot of people had these backstories, I wanted to make sure I gave them everything I could. Because athletes would come up to me, oh my gosh, what you said, it helped me heal because I lost a brother, or it helped me cope with a hard situation in my life, or it congratulated me when others in my life told me I couldn't do it. And so I knew they were out there. I knew everybody had that backstory. So that's why in what I did is it was really to affirm and put the big exclamation point on their accomplishment.
Yeah.
Whether it was the first time I saw them, or the second time like you, Chris, or the 20th time I saw somebody as an Ironman athlete, the same person. I did the same thing, gave it to them over and over and over again, because our lives change, and I don't know what they're going through, but hopefully what I did at the finish lines would help.
Wow. Really great. I really appreciate how you said Ironman does mask over life. And I found this. So my first race, 2008, we emailed back and forth about it. it was, by the time the run came around, it was 94 degrees with an index of 117 dry. But I found this video, and we've gotten away from the start. So I'm going to share this one really quick because I want you to talk about, I guess, a little bit of the insanity of.
Was this Coeur d'Alene?
This is Arizona, Ironman, Arizona.
Arizona. Okay.
So there's the bridge over right outside Tempe. And this is the old Canyon swim starts.
The mass start, yeah.
It was one of the craziest experiences I had ever been in. I had done other tries where you run out from the beach or you jump in, but
yeah, people.
I remember
it's a contact sport at that point.
Oh my gosh, people are swimming over each other. I saw one person get kicked in the fence. Someone else lost their goggles. I tend to drift left when I swim, so I kept swimming away from the center line of the group. I mean, look at this. It's like the Grunion run.
Yeah, it's worse than Grunions. The Grunions stay away from one another.
Bring it back to us, Mike.
That's crazy.
Okay, so 3 different physical disciplines. Let's start talking about this right now. So swim, bike, run. Inside of life looking like the Ironman, there are things we're good at and there's things we're not so good at. And in the world of practice and repetition, what have you come to learn that you bring to your leadership trainings, that you bring to your consulting, where you're able to take this and teach it back to persons who weren't athletes and never got to do this? How do you take what you learned there and deliver it back to people?
I had hundreds and hundreds of athletes tell me over the years, I was never an athlete. I can't believe I'm doing this. And I would say to them, who said you had to be an athlete? Because the athlete figure of, oh, I couldn't play baseball or basketball or the skills of soccer, those types of sports. But when it came to swim, bike, run, everybody can learn to swim, or everybody has swam. Everybody's ridden a bike in their life, and everybody's run.
Yeah.
As they get older, they stop doing those things. They stop becoming that child that they are. And then when people start saying, okay, maybe I can try this triathlon thing. Well, this swim scares the heck out of me because, like, as you saw, the mass swim start, or the swimming in the ocean. So they have to overcome that fear. Yes. The second fear they have to overcome is riding the bike and not falling off because they hadn't ridden it in so long. And the third fear they overcome is, well, I can run, but maybe you have to walk. And I tell people, it's okay if you walk a little bit during the Ironman and then take off running again. So throughout all that, people start to realize they're the cause of their own experience. And if they keep those experiences positive, they'll find the courage to get in the water and train. They'll find the courage to get on the bike and put the miles in, and they'll find the courage to go out and run. And whenever anybody said to me, well, I don't think I have the time to do that. Yes, you have the time to do that. You have to make the time, because I've seen it done thousands and thousands of times before. So I say, why are you different than the 66-year-old grandmother who finished a race I called last week? She's got 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Why are you different than her? Why can she do it and you can't do it and you're 38 years old? Yeah. So it becomes a matter of them realizing they're the cause of their own experience and sitting down and going, okay, I'm going to do this. Tell the family I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the best I can do to train, because time is of no factor.
Right.
Obviously when I bring the professional athletes in and the men are going sub 8 hours and the women are going sub 9 hours and they're faster than the speed of light. And it's great to watch and great to see. There's no comparison to them, and you don't need to. Right. So if you finish a race and it takes you 11 hours, 13 hours, 15 hours, or 17 hours, I'm giving you the same accolades as I gave the one that finished first. So time isn't a matter. It's the biggest lesson in life we all always have to learn and repeat to ourselves, finish what we start. Because so many of us, including myself, have started so many things and not finished it. Not finished it to where we should have gotten it done. I don't care if it's having a hard conversation with a loved one and finishing it. I don't care if it's, getting on the bike and say you're going to ride 20 miles, but you stop at 10. You just have to finish what you start. So over the years, I think the thing that I've seen when people do make the decision to do this is they gain courage, and then it bleeds into their life. The courage to do the hard things, the courage to make that deadline at work, the courage to start a new job, the courage to go out and work for yourself. And I've seen it over and over again. I very seldom see Ironman finishers who are not successful with another part of their life, which is life itself.
Yeah. All right. So for everybody listening, this is where Mike, right out of his book, said some of the gold nuggets that I had written down here. One, we are the cause of our experiences. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. It's so empowering. Two, finish what you start, and start it and finish it. Absolutely. And the courage bleeds over into our lives. I think, I asked you, have some life lessons. You've already given me like top 5 maybe for Mike Reilly right there, just inside of that. Let's talk about extraordinary circumstances. You, in your book, where I'm going to give you a couple names right now, where you wrote about, oh boy, what was the firefighter that got
Matt Long.
Matt Long.
New York City.
Cow. Will you just share about, like, when we get down on ourselves, we're like, oh, I can't, I'm not good enough, I could never. Tell that back to everybody thinking, not me.
It's always easy to say and for people to hear, hey, others have it worse than you do. Quit your bitching and moaning. But we don't know what affects one person in their life in a negative way. It might not affect the next person. But when things happen that are astronomical in such a dire sense, Matt Long was an Ironman athlete. He did Lake Placid quite a few times, ran the New York City Marathon. He would ride his bike to his fire station in New York City. It was during the bus strike years back, and a bus turned in front of him when he was riding his bike to the fire station at about 5:30 in the morning and crushed him. He shouldn't have been, he should be dead. He broke almost every bone in his body. His heart was out of place. The hip was over. It was just, and it took 45 minutes.
Catastrophic, beyond catastrophic.
It was just his recovery. And Matty wrote a great book called The Long Run, which you've got to get.
All right.
But what I wanted to, why I put Matt in my book was because I had heard about this happening. We all knew about it. His recovery was hell, especially when he got out of the hospital, and the PTSD and the depression set in, and taking the drugs for pain. And it was just a very challenging comeback. And he came back to Lake Placid. Ron Parker, the firefighter buddy of his and mine, was doing Lake Placid. So Matt came to watch him. Well, Matt doesn't have one hip, and he's hopping around, and I see him, and I came down towards the end of the race into the finish chute, and I was along the fence. I grabbed him. He grabbed me so hard, and he looked at me. He goes, Reilly, I'm going to do this race next year. I'm doing this Ironman. He could hardly hold himself up on the fencing. He was just getting back. Well, that was in July. That November, he ended up running the New York City Marathon. It took him I always kid him. I go, God, it took you 3 days, dude. What's the big deal? But it took him 8-9 hours. And then he came to Lake Placid the next year, about 4.5, 5 years after the accident. And he wasn't going to make it. He wasn't going to make that 17-hour mark. It was just a struggle out there. And then at the final, Heather Furr, the female pro who won the race, heard about that, ran out to him with 3 miles to go, encouraged him coming in. He'd always tell me, God, when somebody like Heather Furr comes out, I'm going to keep running.
That's right.
He came across the finish line with his mom and dad and brother there. And, that's when the adage of anything is possible really hit me. I go, wait a minute. This guy didn't need to prove anything to anybody, but he wanted to prove something to himself. He wanted to become whole again. And that's why I put Matt's story in the book, because while it's extraordinary, it was almost like more I got to know him after that time. And I'd go to New York and visit with him. We go out to dinner. And the more I got to know him afterwards, I go, this makes sense. This is who he is. It's no surprise to me now. It was before, but now that I know him and I know his personality and I know the guts and gumption he has and the pride, it didn't surprise me any longer.
Brilliant.
He's amazing.
Yeah, just a truly, you hear the old Howard Cosell, and I'm going to ask you in a few moments, who some of your influences were, but the agony of defeat, right? Like there's some defeat happening right there. And it's the story of why we have the Phoenix, right? It's the story of 3 days and then rising out of the tomb. It's like, where do I get to live again? How do I get to be there? And then you on the receiving end have this section. You are an Ironman is not an endorsement of what you did today. It is a certification of who you've become. It is the last step of a rite of passage that has changed you forever. One of the most potent lines I've read out of all the books and authors I've worked with. Tell me a little bit more about this becoming, because it's a very popular buzzword, right? On becoming. But you're saying, no, it's not just what you did today. It's the wholeness of who you've become.
Yeah, it's the great ones don't discount the journey. And no matter, and the next book I'm writing is called Finding Your Finish Line. And it's not only in an event or a race, it's in life. We have to find finish lines every day. And so when it was probably, Chris, 7 years after I started calling people an Ironman that it really hit me. Those 4 words hit me in a way where, God, they're not just words. They're people are doing everything they can do in their life to get to a start line so they can get to a finish line and hear those words.
Yeah.
And I just started to realize, wow, these words mean so many different things to so many different people because of where they're at in their individual lives. And when I wrote that about the affirmation of who you become, they didn't become that right at the finish line. They built themselves into that. They built a human. They built a machine. They built themselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. They built themselves into a balanced human that could do something like this.
Yes.
And then that balanced human went on to do great things in life. And I could tell you story after story of, and it's interesting. I've called governors in. I've called CEOs of, Fortune 500 companies. I've called billionaires to the finish line. And whenever I have a conversation with any one of them, it's like I'm talking to this broken down boy or girl of themselves. And no matter what their status is in life, the conversation goes like this. Oh, Mike, hey, buddy, you called me an Ironman. It was the greatest thing ever. And here I'm talking to somebody that runs a company that has 82,000 employees.
Right.
It's all the same. And they you know what they did? They failed many times, but they didn't fail to learn from those experiences. And it goes back to the cause of your own experience. And so when when people would say, I hope you say those words to me, and I would say a lot of times, I hope you take them with all the meaning in the world and you keep moving forward.
Awesome, Mike. All right, I'm gonna take that door that you just opened right now.
Oh my gosh, I opened a door for you.
You opened a door, Mike, because one of the things that I look for when I work with authors, inspired leaders, is can I find their words? Can I find the deep meaning they're trying to communicate in sacred text somewhere out there in the world? If I could find it in the sacred text, then I know they're heading in the right direction, right? So this is the Bhagavad Gita. It's one of my faves to read. And in chapter 3, it says here, verse 35, it is better to strive in one's own dharma than to succeed in the dharma of another. Nothing is ever lost following one's own dharma, but competition in someone else's dharma will breed fear and insecurity.
That's why triathlon's so pure. It's you from beginning to end. Sure, you have your support group and your people that love you and support you and kids cheer for you. But that's why when I would look out at a start line of a swim and I had, 2,500 athletes or whatever it was, I didn't do it all the time, but I'd tell them, by the way, you're a champion right now because you found this start line. Yeah. That was a hard journey. The rest is just, the day today is like icing on the cake. All you're doing is putting in the time, getting to that finish line. Hopefully everything goes okay. But they're all champions at that start line. And they are individuals. I think that's the other reason why when we work in a company and you work with a team, you have to be a strong team player for a lot of success. And you have to be a team player in triathlon too. You can't be so selfish that you disregard your partner, your spouse, your family, your friends. You become a jerk because you're so egocentric all about your training and your diet. But I've seen that happen to people. Yeah. And I've had hard conversations with some. And I heard one man was talking to his wife in front of me. He was talking to me, then she said something, and he kind of snapped at her. And I looked at him. I go, what'd you do that for? She was just trying to have a conversation with you like I am. And I knew he was on edge because he had the race the next day and the whole deal. But it's not like I'm the guy who wants to put you in your place. It just bothered me, and I said something. And it's the same, Chris, when I go out on the stage or I give a motivational speech, I tell them right away, you're not going to hear anything you haven't heard before. You may hear a story or two that I tell that you didn't hear, but the messages I'm hopefully going to throw out there to you are messages that I throw to myself every day that I need. Great teachers teach to learn, and I speak to learn a lot about myself, because I'll say something to someone and go, Reilly, what the heck, you haven't done that in a while. Why are you telling somebody else to do it? So it comes from a place of individuality, but yet, and I tell the athletes all the time, you have no idea how many others around you are influencing, how you're making lives greater just by you being you. And that's a powerful quote in that book.
It's your fabric. It's what you're cut out of. Okay, I'm going to give you one more. Okay, so I believe this, and thank you. You're reading my notes. Like I said, tell me a pitfall of the Ironman lifestyle, and you just said it right there. We get so into the training. I mean, come on, we're doing 25, 30, some weeks we get up to 40.
And remember, there's pitfalls in life. I mean, there's addiction, there's drug, alcohol, gambling. There's pitfalls in life all the time, and there's pitfalls in training. That and people can take the road to the left when the road to the right is the one they should have taken. So it's an interesting and challenging process when you are training for something, because you start to balance yourself out. If you're wandering, through the world of, oh, I don't like my job, and excuses become your norm, people are going to shy away from you. You're not influencing anybody, and the worst thing you're doing is breaking yourself down. It's easy to break yourself down because
the ego's fast.
It's just easier. It's quicker. I'm not going to go do that. I don't feel like doing that,
Yeah.
But
really
like I say, you got to do something hard every day. Put something hard on yourself every day.
Even a loving conversation to someone we normally wouldn't be loving to is hard. Hard doesn't have to be physical. And that's one thing I learned. Yep. It doesn't have to be physical. It just has to be at the edge of our comfort zones of what we would normally do, right? Like continue to expand oneself. Okay, you ready for another cosmic one? Because this is the big one. This is the big one for you, okay?
Okay.
All right. So again, this evolutionary biologist, and dad was an atheist. Mom was a Latina Catholic. Dad was a blue-eyed atheist. So when I went to little Catholic school, I would hear some of these stories. I'd be like, man, I don't resonate with those stories. Where's the dinosaurs? That doesn't make sense. But I always found these words very powerful. There's two of them that we're going to cover today. And one is Moses goes to the top of the mountain and he says to the bush, well, who shall I say sent me? Just in case you know the punchline, what's the response?
My response?
Well, what is it based on if we actually looked at the text?
I don't know.
All right, no problem.
Great.
It says, tell them the I am that I am sent you.
Mm-hmm.
We go through life, just like you said, right turn, left turn. Which I am are we going to choose to speak over our lives? One side of the hand. There's this guy who answers the calling to says, not only is it I am, it's you are. It is as cosmic and divine as you could have got, Mike. Like 2 words, I am, and whatever follows it becomes true. You are, and whatever followed it became true for us. So was there times, and maybe this is the little cosmic part, because as much as I love my my sciences and my 5 senses, I know there's nebulas and big stuff that I can't explain with all of my sensory data and tools. Was there times when you were out there and you just felt goosebumps? You felt being used, and it wasn't Mike Reilly in pulpit anymore, on stage anymore. It was, I'm being used right now.
I never really thought that deeply about it. I would, for a lack of a better phrase, always count my lucky stars and knew that there was a higher power looking over me. When I fell from the scaffold and broke my back, when I crashed on the bike at one race, training, riding the court. There was a lot of things that happened to me that I possibly shouldn't have walked away from. And I think that without really getting metaphysical over it all,
you're allowed.
A lot of people have, others that are maybe more spiritual than I am said, your voice is being spoken for others because it's an instrument. And I go, okay, I never really looked into that deeply. But what I do realize, and what I've always realized, is I was giving, and I don't know what my voice, we don't know what our voices sound like. And people would say, just talk, Mike. I love the sound of your voice. I go, well, okay. And obviously added with the 4 words that I would say, and it became really powerful for a lot of people. And I was just blessed with it. And I got to use it. I think a lot of us in life have a talent, or we're given a talent, but we've never really developed it because we were afraid. 2, we didn't get the opportunity. 3, people wouldn't like what I did. And 4, the fear of so to speak, going out on your own and doing it.
Yeah.
That stage was set for me early. It wasn't about the money early on, and because it was such a pleasure. But then, obviously, as I started doing more, I go, wait a minute, I'm going for the weekend, and I'm not going to be home, and I'm away from my family and friends. Dude, you got to pay me something. I can't be, otherwise I'm staying home. You know,
Yeah.
So that started to come to fruition, and I started obviously producing income from it. But you know, the higher spirit of who I am, I don't know. I think I let others conjecture or figure out that maybe it came from someplace else. I can't do that for myself. And sometimes because I never, at any race on the microphone, I never said the words I or me.
Yeah.
I stayed away from I and me because it wasn't about me. It was about them. It was about you. And why would I interject myself and take away from you? It's your day. It's not my day. It's not my day. It's their day. So I hope that was kind of a roundabout answer, but I've never been asked that before, but I've been told by others, hey, you know what, your voice, it's coming from someplace else. And that kind of stops me like, whoa, okay, I don't know about that.
You know, Mike, there's I am, and then there's you are. And we're gonna move into where we've used you've used your words and your voice for good, right? And you've used your book for good, and I can imagine finding your finish line and the podcast is all for good. So dealer's choice. Do you want to talk book or you want to talk discipline?
Talk book or talk discipline?
Yeah.
You pick. All right. I don't care. We can do a little of both.
Or do a little both. Okay, great. I remember on the run, especially 2008, because on this, it's a 3 loop. So ladies and gentlemen,
right.
It's you have the swim right there in the Snake River Reservoir, whatever it is. Then the bike out on the Beeline Highway. The winds, I went and looked up the Farmer's Almanac. The winds were gusting 24 in Tempe. They were up to 40 or more out on the Beeline Highway. I was watching these little waifs of guys and girls get hit by tumbleweeds and knocked off. I look at the aid stations filled, bodies pouring out of it, ambulance trucks lined up like it's an In-N-Out burger. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what did I get myself into?
You keep that up. Nobody's ever going to want to do an Ironman.
Well, okay, very good. And it's worth doing it, people. But be cautious. Okay, so then I make it in, I switch, and then start the marathon. Well, someone came up with the bright idea of 3 8-mile loops. Run past the finish, and then run back out into the dark again. Come back one more time, run back out. And I heard your voice around the second loop. I did 13:58. My first year, I came back and do 13. My second year, 13:08.
Good for you.
And thank you. And I heard you, and I heard the music, and it was the finish of my second lap. And I thought, oh my God, people are finishing, and I'm now watching people make the left turn. But the rest of us are running out into the dark one more time with our little glow sticks to head out along the dry riverbed, wherever the heck we ran out to, by the zoo, and then to make it back. Talk about mindset, Mike. What in the discipline and mindset, what's the difference that is made in your life and that you see it makes for the people who take on this sport?
Oh, I always had to be disciplined when it came to announcing, because it couldn't be. I was very well prepared. I read the bios 5-6 times, everybody's name. I tried to familiarize myself with the names, so when it pop up on the computer, it was there. I was disciplined about the preparation. I always lived by the 5 P's of proper planning prevents poor performance, because if you perform poorly when you're live, people can forgive you for what you say or what you didn't say, but they don't forget. And so I was very aware of that. So I was very disciplined. I wouldn't use any off color. Early on in my career, I'd try to make a joke or something. Found out early on I wasn't a comedian, and people would go, "Oh, what did you say that for?" And then other times I'd say something, everybody started laughing. I go, "What the heck? I wasn't trying to be funny." I think just how things came out at certain times, and so I was very disciplined with that. Thus, that of my life, I was disciplined with work. I was in sales. I'd come home from an Ironman. I'd go right to an office and I'd work and I'd sell. And obviously in sales, you got to be very disciplined if you want to sell. And
That's right.
So I've done that my whole life. And you know, you always have to sell yourself too to people. And I always found that sometimes difficult to do, but other times I didn't, because if somebody wanted to hire me for something, why should we hire you? And I tell them right away why I think you should hire me. But if you don't, that's okay. I'm fine with that. And I seem to always get the job. So discipline's a huge part. And you know, it's funny, my grandchildren, the two boys, 11 and 7, stayed all night Sunday night because they had no school on Monday. And we were playing baseball. I worked the heck out of them. Run, ride the trails, ride the bikes, everything.
Good job.
Then we got in the house and we're bored, Papa. We don't know what to do. I go, here, there's a jumbo puzzle. I want you guys to do it. No, it's not school. I don't want to do that. I go, you got to work your brain like you work your body. You just can't let it go. So you do those, you know, and they both sat down and did the jumbo thing. They were a children's jumbo and they both did them. I go, good. You know, so for the 10, 15 minutes of doing them, it's just discipline. And, you know, our actions speak louder than words, and they see me do stuff all the time and without me saying anything. And my wife, she always is doing stuff with her mind and jumbos or crossword puzzles, and they see that. They go, and they pick up on it. So
that's great.
Yeah, discipline is everything. Discipline's everything.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to show something in a second. Okay, so let's do book, because you are an author. How long did it take you, and how long before you narrated the book? So how long did it take you to write this?
Well, I thought about it for about 4 or 5 years. And I had told the Iron Fire, Father Dan Callahan, he's out of Lake Placid. He does the mass the night before the race. And I told him hey, Father, I'm going to write a book. He says, oh, great, Mike. And he did the race and stuff the next year at the church. I'd only worked on the book a little bit through the year. I was talking about it more than working on it.
Yeah.
At the next year at the race after mass, he's talking to me. He goes, hey, you got that book done yet? And it hit me. I go, Mike, you SOB, you're telling people you're writing a book. Now get your ass and go write the thing. So once I made the decision, it was about 6 hard months.
Okay.
About 6 months. This one here, I'm a year into it.
Awesome.
And it's 10 lessons I talk about. And I got like 6 chapters done, 6 of them done. So I'll have it done in a few months.
All right.
It's a little longer.
When the time comes, we'll extract the gold in that book, if I could have the honor again. Sure. So, okay, I got that for this book, and well said. Let's see, how's our time? We're putting up the trade tables now, Mike. We're asking people to bring their seat backs up. So I want to share something that I think makes a huge difference for both you and I. And let's go right here. Let's go right here. Entire screen, click. So in October 2018, my son played for the University of Utah.
Wow.
That's him right there, number 63. And the very first college game that he ever played was at the Coliseum against the USC Trojans.
Wow.
And I could not have been more lit up he had just turned 19. He had a broken wrist because some senior cheap shotted him in the red and white game. And he snaps against USC, a phenomenal game. Then I found this.
Yeah, he's the next one. There he is on the left.
Yeah.
There's my boy. The greatest call I ever made.
Yeah.
Give Mama a hug. Give me a hug. There's his daughter right there with the Mylar blanket. There's my son-in-law with the camera. Yeah, that was pretty doggone.
Back to you guys right there.
Yeah.
That was the picture I was looking for, Mike. So let's talk parents for just a second. Look, no one gives us a book on how to be great dads, right? We do the best. We glean what we can. We gravitate towards what our parents did or away from what our parents did. We try and borrow along the way and hope we don't mess them up too much. Calling in your son, you just said it was the greatest call you ever made, but did you ever advise him, like, are you sure you want to do this? I mean, what was that world like?
He was a baseball player, high school, college, minor leagues. So he was a good athlete. He was at Ironman Arizona with me the year before that finish. He was in the tower doing some announcing with me. And his buddies were there at the race too from work, and they were yelling up to him, Andy, let's do this race next year. And the buddies are in the VIP tent drinking. So I go, Andy, don't get caught up in that because, this is an Ironman. He wasn't as big as yours, but he was about 205, all muscle from playing baseball. But the next morning, those guys went along with him, and they entered the race.
Wow.
So for a year, I go, how's your training going? How's your training going? About 4 months, maybe 4 or 5 months before the race, in the summertime, I said, let's go for a ride. I want to see how you're riding. So I decided to climb him up Mount Palomar here in San Diego, which is 5,500 feet. It's a gnarly climb. And he was way back the whole day. He was just, I get him to the top. He comes to the top. He goes, oh, my God, I'm not in the shape I thought I was in. I go, no, you're not. So then we rode down, and then he put his, pedal to the metal, and he trained and went 11 hours and 30 minutes. And
that's awesome.
My whole thing, I was thinking, I go, don't lose it. Don't lose it. Don't be crying on the microphone. Don't lose it. Tom Ziebart, who always announced with me here in North America, I said to him, I go, Tom, if Andy's coming in and there's somebody around him, you got to call the other person in. I'm not going to be able to. I can't miss my boy. All right. Yeah. So somebody came in next to him, and before he called him, and then I brought him in. And it's the first time I ever called somebody and gave him those 4 words twice. So he finished. I called him an Ironman.
Yeah.
Mom put the medal around him. My daughter put the Mylar blanket around him.
Wow.
We all gave him a hug, and they just walked away from me. And I'm standing there like, what am I, chopped liver? They just started walking away from me. And so one more time I said, Andy, Reilly, you are an Ironman. As their backs were turned. And he went like that, and he put his finger up in the air and pointed it at me. And I said, all right, that was cool. And then I went on because we had a lot more finishers coming in that day.
Well, and, I think it makes a huge difference for parents. I remember when I trained, my son would ride his bike next to me when I ran here in Griffith Park. I put a gel seat on because he would cry to his mom that he was on the seat for too long. We do these things to inspire our kids, to hope that something that we did imparts over to them. And I love seeing, and this was the photo I was asking for, and I'm like, you know what, who knows, maybe it's recorded out there. And I'm so happy that I found that recording, and I'll send it over to you. I'm sure you know, but I'll make sure you've got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think many parents do it. And what have you heard from the finish line about, we'll just start to land here, why do parents do this?
Why do they do what? Why do they
do an Ironman? They know it's going to take time away from family, and you know.
Well, when my kids were growing up, we never encouraged them. My wife was a marathoner. I did the same, and then triathlon. We never. They would do mini triathlons in the front yard for fooling around. But then my daughter was a gymnast, high school and college. Then my son went and played baseball, and I never really thought about them wanting to do that. But as they got older, my daughter ended up running a few marathons, ran Boston, and then Andy did Ironman and a few other races. And our actions speak louder than words. Mm-hmm. And what I think parents try to do sometimes is, speak too much, preach too much. And maybe it's their way, even though they're away from the family, of saying, hey, I need to do this for myself. I need to create a better life for myself. I need to be happier. And parents are humans. Just because they're older than their kids doesn't mean they have as high a maturity level in some things. It's just amazing to me. And so I think the time away of training and stuff, it's not time away like you took a trip and you went to, Australia for 2 months. It's time away in the morning, maybe when they get up for breakfast, but they see mom or dad come in from the long run or the swim, and their parents are happier, which makes the kids happier. But you gotta balance it. That's for sure. I've had so many people tell me about, I'm not missing my daughter's recital, but I got to get a 6 mile run in afterwards. And they're running at 9 o'clock at night and getting it in.
Did many of those.
Yeah. I tell everybody, you train for an Ironman, sleep is overrated. You got to get your recovery, but you're going to lose a little sleep. But you know what? I've called almost 500,000 people into finish lines across the world, and I've never, ever seen somebody come across an Ironman finish line unhappy with themselves or the world.
Yeah.
It's always joy and happiness. What's that tell you?
So great. All right. So I haven't worn this shirt in a while. This is my finisher shirt, 2009. When it was
I know it says Ford on it. Ford was a long time ago, Fonz.
A long time ago.
Yeah,
that's right. So as we close this, I'm gonna acknowledge and bestow you, and I cannot find for the life of me where my video is. So I might ask, and I really want to acknowledge you first before I even ask the request I'm going to make of you. I watched a number of TV shows because the Ironman was going to be the news segment. The Ironman was going to be in that city, and people say, "Hey, Mike, will you go ahead and say those words?" And you're like, "I can't. They're sacred." And I can't honor you enough for honoring those words. And that's when I was like, oh, I can't wait. So great job on that, on having people get the declaration again, right? The I am and the you are and the power of those words. I just really want to acknowledge you for that. So let's see.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mike. All right, here we go. I'm going to reach over to this one. Here's my big finisher plaque.
All right.
And photo from 2008.
Nice.
Here's the medal from 2009.
All right.
Both times I rolled around 3 loops, 8-point-something miles to come running down a chute to hear Mr. Mike Reilly say what?
Chris Trammell, you are an Ironman.
Received, Mike. Fully received. Thank you for that. Somewhere in storage is the old Super 8 little, remember the dumb little cameras we carried around?
Yeah. I don't know where you'd get that. I mean, there was a time when Ironman had all those spliced and you could ask them for it, but I don't know, 2008 or 9, I have no idea where you'd get that.
Yeah, that you gave me what I needed, and it was perfect. The next thing, I would like to acknowledge you, Mr. Mike Reilly, for the extraordinary work. And one of the things that I find is just a powerful gift is being able to have people be seen and witnessed for the work that they did, and on behalf all the athletes around the world, of all the Americas, of all the continents except for Antarctica, where you announced, well, let me back up, the athletes, the families, the finishers, the non-finishers that never made it back, the infirmed that watched, like I was a little kid watching Julie Moss crawl across the line, watching the Sean and Wendy crawl across the line, being like, what is that? How do I tap into that? I acknowledge you for being front and center for the witnessing and the actualization that you brought forward into other people's lives for your career. It is an extraordinary gift that you gave and that you are. And I hope that you know, I know, as you said, Mike Reilly just does what Mike Reilly does, but there is a world that Mike Reilly created that didn't exist until Mike Reilly did what he did.
Thank you very much for those kind words, Chris. I appreciate that. It was very nice.
You're welcome. I'm going to send you one last thing, Mike. So this little icon right here, I'll bring it close.
Is that St. Michael?
Very good. It is. So it's one of the archangels, and I didn't know this. Oh. So again, I went to UC Santa Cruz, a lot of head shops, a lot of rock shops, pot shops, different shops. I go walking into one, and this woman looks at me, and she's like, wow. I'm like, wow, what? She's like, you're so bright. I'm like, okay. She says, you have an archangel with you. And she also said, and you also have a woman that you're named after, and she's everywhere you go. And she says, it starts with a C. And that's my grandmother, Chrysanta. She, I guess, in the other domains of the world, she hangs out here. And they have this big archangel for those that could see beyond what we see. And she says, it's Uriel. You should look up Uriel. So in the mythology of angels in that domain, Uriel holds the light that brings everybody in. And that's the whole job. It's very similar to like Paramount Pictures, where the woman, I think it used to be the woman that held the light at the beginning, right? So at the bottom here, it says, Mike, thank you for the light you shined on others with your life work. So I will send you this.
Oh, very nice.
You absolutely, with the work you did, touched on the cosmic, Mike. It was more than just another day at the office.
Well, the good thing about it, it wasn't a job.
Yeah. Awesome.
It was a passion.
All right. I took a minute over. I thank you.
You're forgiven.
I thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to keep Mike on for just a millisecond. I want to thank all of you for watching this. For those of you that would like to find Mike, oh my God, I almost forgot. You could find Mike's book at mikereilly.net, right? Mm-hmm. Very good. And there's also Mike's podcast, Finding Your Finish Line, as well. Yep. And anywhere else that you want them to find you, or you want to share how they could get a hold of you.
I'm on Instagram at Ironman Voice, or Facebook, at Ironman Voice. You can find me pretty easy. Or Mike at mikereilly.net. I answer all my emails. And then Finding Your Finish Line is my next book. It's 10 lessons of discovering heart, hope, and yourself in life's toughest miles. That'll be out this year.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Is that with Steeplechase Books or another publisher?
I don't know yet. I got a couple options.
Good. Make them date you. Make them, woo you a little bit. Good job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure talking life work with Mike Reilly. Again, if there's something that you know is your mission out in this world, and you say, this is what I'm here to do, this is the difference I want to make, and this is what I want people to know about themselves, I hope that this live stream and this live cast that will be found YouTube and other places makes a difference for you. Mike Reilly, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you all at the next finish line. Bye.
You got it. Aloha.
Aloha. And stream.